Welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology forecast for January 27th through February 2nd. This week is about renewing your mind. We have some transits and aspects that involve Mercury, the planet of the mind. We have a new moon in Aquarius this week, and then we also have some transits that are involving Pisces as well. And so there is a continuation this week of continuing to refine and integrate some of the things that have come up last week and the week before. This further sense of renewal, but this time at a more logical and analytical process. And of course, we have our new beginning with the new moon. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a depth psychotherapist and an astrologer, and I am so honored to share the astrology of this week with you from a depth psychological perspective. So, the beginning of this week, we have Mercury, the planet of the mind, the intellect, the analytical thought process. Mercury is very connected to our ability to transmit or share or communicate. It's also our ability to make meaning, to see symbolically, and to have a sense of understanding and to really decode things. So Mercury holds a lot of symbolism around our ability to transmute and transmit and to share our ideas with others, and to also our ability to make sense of things within our own mind, our own narrative, so to speak. And so Mercury is changing signs this week. It's moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, and Mercury changes signs about every 30 days or so. It stays really close with the sun. And so just for context, Mercury was in Capricorn from January 8th through to this week, January 27th. 27th is when it moves into Aquarius. And Mercury will be in Aquarius from this Monday, January 27th, until February 14th. And so there's this shift with communication and understanding, being able to analyze things, a shift from Capricorn emphasis, which is Capricorn is more about the practicality of things. There is, of course, this more serious tone to it. Capricorn tends to focus more on security and safety and the practical matters of security and safety. Capricorn is also very much about the literal, tangible, practical things that we do in our life. So over the last month, while Mercury was in this sign, there may have been more of an emphasis around the practical matters of life. Of course, while Mercury was in Capricorn, it was also opposite Mars, and I think that adds this extra tone of possible agitation or frustration over the last month or so. And so I think that's important to name as well. Now, Mercury moving into Aquarius, there's this theme around communication and thinking and analyzing that to me feels a bit lighter in Aquarius versus Capricorn. Aquarius is about finding ways to be an individual within community, finding a way to connect to what is true for you and how you are choosing your own way of being while also being a part of the group, but not unconsciously co-opting into what is expected of you or what is the norm or what you should do. I think one of the core principles of Aquarius as a sign is that it's about differentiating between what you choose to be, how you choose to be, and that is a choice, that it is intentional, and it's not something that you've been conditioned or told that you should be. And so there's often, for folks that have Aquarius placements, there can be this sort of allergic reaction to going along with what is expected of you, or going along with something just because you should or because it's normal. So there's kind of this I think we all get to experience this with Mercury in Aquarius, is there's this reclaiming of your choice and your autonomy, and really how to navigate that process while staying connected to your loved ones, to your community, to the groups and communities and collectives that you do feel a part of. So, so that might feel like a lot, and I think that may feel like a lot, especially during this time. And I think that right now, especially for folks who are feeling possibly in distress or unsafe, or if there are challenges that you're having, whether that is something that is threatening in your life, or a fear of something that may happen, or just really feeling for the people in your life or the humans in the world that maybe are in a position of marginalization or unsafety. I think that Mercury in Aquarius this month can help us connect into how we can feel a sense of freedom to act, a sense of freedom to play with ideas, a sense of freedom to explore what is possible. Because that is really what Aquarius is about. Aquarius is about questioning what has been normative, what we've been doing, and to say, does this make sense? And if not, what do I want to do instead? And on top of that, so that's Mercury in Aquarius. And of course, as we've talked about, any Aquarius transit over the next 20 years or so is going to have a Pluto flavor to it. So it's going to be more intense. It's going to feel more critical. Critical, not as in judgmental, but critical as in important. There is a sense of immensity with Pluto. There's a sense of gravity. There is a sense of often Pluto can invoke this feeling tone of life, death, rebirth situations. There's an urgency there. There's an intensity. And so Mercury, as it moves into Aquarius, it's going to right away encounter Pluto, because Pluto right now is still at 1 degree of Aquarius. So it's going to be, Pluto's just chilling, maybe not so chill, but Pluto's here in Aquarius. Mercury moves into Aquarius and is like, hello, Pluto. What would you like me to know? Because Pluto is about, among other things, these intense experiences, but Pluto is also about getting into the root of something, getting into discovering the hidden, the mysterious, what has been denied or shamed, or what has been taboo in some way, what has been misunderstood. Pluto, for that reason, is very connected to psychology and the unconscious, and I think of Pluto as sort of like this reservoir of things that we don't know, that we didn't know that we don't know. Pluto is also very connected to power and control, and how we feel a sense of power with ourselves, power with others, and then the scenarios where we maybe try to control a situation or try to control other people in order to feel better ourselves, or where we feel like we are vulnerable to being controlled, or there is a vulnerability to being consciously or unconsciously manipulated. And so I think these are all themes that may come up, especially with Mercury Pluto. It's this tone around how you make meaning, how you make sense, and the thought process. And so I think this week there is this sense of integrating whatever insights came up for you last week when we had the sun, the ego, the self, sun, moving into Aquarius. This Sun Pluto, where there's something that comes to light, which happened last week. So whatever it is, no matter how striking and maybe very apparent or much more subtle it was for you, there's an integration process that is happening here where we have this opportunity to use the mind, use our analytical process to make sense of things. And this can be an internal process, or it can be a talking through, a working through, a writing through. Mercury using all of the different ways that we communicate, whether that is a process of writing or making lists or journaling or doing a dialogue with yourself or a dialogue with a part of yourself, or contemplating your dreams, or doing a divination even. Like maybe you're like, Shauna, I don't think I had any insights last week. I would really encourage you to look at your dreams, to even, if you feel so inclined, to pull a tarot spread or to just do a little contemplation, because Pluto also symbolizes that something that is very subtle can have a dramatic impact. And let's see, what else here? I'll also say Mercury-Pluto as a combination can also correlate to where we kind of like lock on to an idea or a thought, and then it's difficult to let it go sometimes. Sometimes this is called rumination, where it feels like you're just circling around something in a way that doesn't feel good, and it feels like you're just sort of spinning. Or you're spinning in one place, or you're spinning and it sort of goes into more and more harsh or critical ways of thinking, more demeaning ways of thinking. And Pluto, a part of this, we can think of this as Pluto is also very connected to shame, experiences of shame, shame being when you feel like you are bad in some way, like irreparably. Shame is when we have this experience not of I made a mistake or I did something wrong or bad, but that I am bad, that there is something inherently wrong about me. This is shame. And Pluto is connected to this because Pluto is a symbol of things that we deny or repress, or say that this is not allowed in some way. Anytime something is not allowed, it gets tamped down, it gets pushed away, and it's sort of like condenses and crushes that down. Again, take all of this with a grain of salt. This is just the way that it's coming through for me in this moment, is that when we feel shame about something, like it's not allowed, then there's sort of this like condensing of it. It doesn't get any air or any light, and it starts to become more and more distorted and sort of take on this life of its own in the unconscious. And then when that happens, it's sort of a paradox, because we're pushing it away, but then it sort of like comes back, but in a way where we don't see it because it is unconscious. And this can be ways of being, this can be qualities. I think we can even think of this as possibly this week becoming aware of ways of being that you have that are actually very life-giving, but for whatever reason that quality maybe has been denied. It could be, for example, a quality of being seen, and maybe being very playful and expressive and even loud. Maybe you received a message, a storyline at some point in your life that that's like off-putting, to that like your voice sounds like too loud or too brash, or that you're being like extra or too much, that you're annoying in some way. And so then that natural part of you that is like very spontaneously, creatively expressive, that gets shamed as like bad and not allowed. And so then it sort of like goes underground. And then that may emerge through, ironically, being annoyed at other people who are very expressive and dynamic and spontaneous, that they're too much, as an example. So many different ways that could go. Anyways, I digress. So there's something here around Mercury, the mind, coming into contact with Pluto being this portal, this reservoir of what has maybe been denied, or possibly not even denied, just not realized, not seen, not made conscious yet. There is something that is being further revealed and integrated this week. Now, this is really essential also because this Mercury-Pluto conjunction is happening at the same time as the new moon, also in Aquarius. So it's happening the same week, and it's happening very close together with the new moon. So this new moon in Aquarius is happening on Wednesday, January 29th. It's exact at 4:36 a.m. Pacific time. And it's happening at 9 degrees of Aquarius. So for context, Pluto's at 1 degree. When the new moon happens, Mercury will be at 2 degrees. So it goes Pluto, Mercury, and then the sun and the moon, all in this little cluster here in Aquarius. And so, of course, new moons are this new beginning. They are a marker of an initiation, a marker of something being seeded, something being germinated, something being planted. And it's this moment of, I really feel also in the new moon time, and this is the day of the new moon, but also this entire week, this like very gentle, it's almost like the new moon is like this wish. It's this entering in to something that is just an idea. It's not fully formed yet. It's not fully fleshed out. It's just this little tiny seed that has so much potential. It has so much potential, and it also is going to require some tending, some love, and some care. And the way that it matures and grows is going to depend so much on the love and the care that it receives, and also the environmental circumstances. And so in this case, we can also think of the new moon as like the type of seed by looking at the sign that the moon is in and the aspects and things like this. So this type of seed, it's going to be different for each of this. It's going to be different for you based on where Aquarius is in your birth chart, what house Aquarius occupies, and that house is a particular area of your life, and how really also how you experience Aquarius energy in general, based on the whole makeup of your chart being this representation of you as this nuanced and multifaceted human. So this new seedling that's beginning for all of us has this tone of Aquarius, this tone of looking at what has been happening, looking at what has been existing or foundational, and is it working? Are there things that you want to change? Are there things that are due for a little revamp, a little adjustment, or a big adjustment? in service of accommodating you and what you need and how you are. And I think this is the biggest difference between Aquarius and Capricorn. Both of these signs are ruled by Saturn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, but they're very different. They both are, what they have in common is that they are both concerned with structures and systems and the things that we do and our ways of being in order to have a sense of groundedness and order and a sense of like being able to do life, being able to move through life. Now, where they differ is Capricorn is very connected into tradition. Capricorn is very connected into, I would even say, like lineage and legacy. Capricorn is like, okay, let us keep this unbroken, tried and true, tried and tested, very tangible, very practical. Let us keep with that. And then Aquarius comes in and says, I want to look at that and like, do we need to keep doing it this way? Whereas Capricorn prioritizes history, lineage, experience. Aquarius prioritizes what is needed now. Aquarius prioritizes the current moment. And Aquarius continues to modify and build on what has come before. And so there's something new that is being initiated around that. There's something new around how you feel like you have an ability to change and to transition and to meet yourself where you're at right now, and to an example that is coming to mind in this moment is so some of you know that I have had varying different levels of being involved in yoga. I taught yoga for some years, long time ago, and I've always really loved the practice and the philosophy of yoga as not just a physical practice but also a spiritual practice. And I really appreciate a particular practice of yoga called Ashtanga yoga, because it's very connected into the not just the physical practice but also working with the breath and the mind and our actions, and it's like this sort of like full immersion into lifestyle. That being said, Ashtanga yoga has the physical practices are a set of yoga postures that you do that are the same, and it's like you do these postures in this order every day, or like 6 days a week, and it's like really intense. It's very physically demanding. At least it was for me. And so that to me feels very Capricorn. It's like this. Like, also, side note, I want to say, like, I fully acknowledge like I think that yoga is so complicated in the West because there is so much that it can bring to someone's life, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And there's a certain amount of, I think, like whitewashing or like reducing yoga down to a physical practice and culturally appropriating yoga. And so like I want to also name that, and that most certainly is a component of my complicated feelings around the practice of yoga. Anyways, I digress. And I think that this practice is very Capricorn in this way, and that it's very connected into a style of yoga that originated via a particular person in India, and it's very like regimented. It's very strict in a certain way. It's like we do these certain practices and poses in this order, no deviation. That's the way it is. That's the way you do it. And I think that we can think of Capricorn as orienting your actions towards fitting into the tradition. You're, in this case, you're fitting your body into the system of Ashtanga yoga. You're fitting it into doing the postures. And the benefit of that is that you get to refine at the best. You get to refine your body and your awareness, and you get to really see how you are changing over time, because there's that that very firm container and consistency through that system. Now, I'm bringing this in with Capricorn and Aquarius because Aquarius is like, why am I doing this? And is it working for me? And I share this with you now because after doing that particular practice for a number of months, I realized that I did not feel good. It was, at least at that point in my life, way too strenuous for me. And I was having all of these like my skin was getting all agitated, and I was like more tired than usual, like despite really modifying and taking my time. And I realized that I I need to be fitting my physical and spiritual practices for where I am right now, like what my energy level is, what my mental level is, what my capacity is right now, versus trying to fit myself into a system that is, at least right now, a little too intense for me. And so I share that with you, like, of course, not to say that any system is good or bad. And I think that's the biggest thing that I really feeling with Aquarius is it's not like Aquarius is saying the past is bad or we shouldn't have been doing what we've been doing. I mean, maybe sometimes that's the case. But I think Aquarius is really about orienting towards what is good for you, what is good for humanity, what is needed now, and orienting towards the needs of the human that is in front of you, whether that's you or someone else, versus trying to squish or modify yourself into something else. Okay, thank you for listening to my TED Talk on Aquarius versus Capricorn. I hope that makes sense. I think I went on a little longer than I wanted to there, but I hope you're with me still. So I'm sharing this because I think that there is this new beginning around realizing what, possibly, ways that you have been trying to fit yourself into something, where you've been trying to make it work, or you've been trying to be something other than who you are, which of course is very natural, and we all do this, and we all have to do this in order to live in society in certain ways. What I really like about this new moon in particular is that it is also making a trine to Jupiter, very close, Jupiter and Gemini. And so Jupiter brings this sense of expansion and growth, this sense of being able to ask for help, being able to ask for support from people who are in a position to assist you, to whether that is just mentally, emotionally, or more practically even. I think Jupiter, of course, can always go into the territory of too muchness or feeling overwhelmed by something. So My sense is if that comes up for you this week, it may simply be having an abundance of ideas and contemplations and thoughts, and maybe like having a lot that's on your mind, or a lot of options, or a lot of possibilities. And so the more that you can do to sort of like capture and process and make sense of things, you know, the best way for you to do that, whether that's talking through it or writing it down, or talking into your like a recorder. There's this I think Jupiter also speaks to the potential for unbinding yourself from what is unnecessary right now. And this is also, as I was thinking about this week, I'm thinking about this like continued process of the unbinding, as that was a theme, at least in the tarot last week. And so, yeah, I think this is like really about releasing, possibly releasing social expectations, releasing things that just don't need to be in your mental space right now. Okay, also this week, so that's the whole new moon Aquarius situation. Very excited to see how this is landing for you. You'll have to let me know. Also this week we have some Pisces action that's happening. So we have Venus in Pisces making a conjunction to both Neptune and the North Node in Pisces. So Pisces, Venus is the planet of relationships, of healing, of beauty, of repair, really. And when Venus comes into contact with Neptune, there's a few different ways that this can be experienced. Neptune has this effect of this correlation of dissolving, of like loosening, of just like really getting into an altered state of consciousness. That can, of course, be like where things feel unclear or fuzzy, confusing, and depending on the context, that may feel very enjoyable. Like if you're taking in a movie, or you're with people that you find very enjoyable and very connected with, to be with, or you have some sort of ritual practice or spiritual practice, or you're just like in a space where you can just chill and have some downtime, that usually feels very nice. When we're trying to figure things out, which we are doing this week, I think, with all of that Mercury, when we're trying to figure things out, I think that Venus Neptune can kind of have us be like, wait, what? Like, what is this? What is happening? And so there's a certain amount of kind of like ambiguity this week, I think, especially when it comes to things around relationships or beauty, or our experiences of also like values is very much connected to Venus. Venus in Pisces kind of has had this interesting progression where, moving into Pisces, it first encountered Saturn, which has this kind of like clarifying effect around relationships, this sort of like sense of becoming very aware of what's working and what's not working at a very core, foundational, even values level. And so now that Venus is coming into contact with Neptune and the North Node, there's sort of this maybe like could be a sense of not feeling clear. I think it can also be an ability to release and let go and allow something to dissolve. The key to, one of the keys that I think, in my experience to working with Neptune, is to allow allow yourself to hold things softly. So Neptune is very connected to water and the ocean, and like the currents of the ocean, you want to stay aware and let it take you, and then it'll take you out to the ocean, but it will eventually return you back to the shore. If you're thrashing and trying to swim against the current, you're just going to get very tired. And so, you want to, ideally, in this metaphor, stay aware, because you want to be paying attention. You want to make sure that you're not just totally checking out and going into unconsciousness, for lack of a better term. You want to try to stay present, and also you want to have a softness and a sort of go with the flow kind of mentality. Now, of course, that's not always appropriate or necessary, but there's kind of this holding things softly when it comes to Venus Neptune this week. And what I find heartening is that Saturn is still here in Pisces, giving us a little sense of groundedness, and then the North Node being in Pisces emphasizes that there is something life-giving about having a sense of hope or faith or trust in being open to something coming in for you that maybe you're just sensing and that you don't have the practical, tangible words for yet. North Node in Pisces is really emphasizing this leaning more into your intuition, into having a sense of opening your mind for what might be possible that you can't quite see in the practical sense. Okay. Now, the last thing I'll say here is that we have Uranus stationing direct, and this marks a point where Uranus, the planet of radical innovation and change and even unexpected very innovative transition and transmutation, that planet is going to be now making its way towards a sign change. Uranus will be moving from Taurus into Gemini this July 2025. So we're definitely a bit off from that, but I think this week also marks this moment of being able to look forward for Uranus continuing to move through this last bit of Taurus, this last bit of completion of, for Uranus, what is a about 7 year period of being in the sign of Taurus. Okay, so I'm going to pull some tarot cards for you. And I have 3 reflection questions for you for this week. So first, number 1 is to ask yourself, what is the truth of your experience right now? And how can you name it? How can you articulate what the truth of your experience is? Not what you want it to be or what you think it should be, but what is it actually that you are feeling and thinking? And I think also this is connecting in with the Mercury Pluto of this situation, is to name the truth of your experience, to articulate what it is that you are experiencing without shaming yourself or other people. And sometimes that's easy, sometimes that's more tricky. But this is really about articulating what is true for you. Number 2 is to ask yourself, how are you being renewed? How are you being renewed? And number 3 is, where is there beauty in your life right now? Where is there beauty in your life? Okay. So I am shuffling the tarot cards, and I invite you in this moment to get comfy, get connected to yourself in whatever way works for you, to draw your focus in a way that is into your inner experience via your breath or your body, what you're feeling, or to simply just focus on your energy in this moment, and to orient yourself in time and space of right now. If you wish, you can imagine yourself within a beautiful sphere of light. Light can be any color that feels good for you, that feels protective and rejuvenating. Within this space, you can also invite in the presence of your spiritual guidance team, ancestors, angels, whoever it is or whatever it is that serves as a benevolent, protective, guiding force for you. Ask that they are here with you now to protect you, to guide you, and to communicate with you in a way that you can easily understand right now. Good. And then draw your focus into your heart. And in this place, maybe a question or a scenario or a wondering emerges for you. I'm pulling 3 cards today, and so if you would like to pick a number between 1 and 3, that card will be special for you. Okay. So, first card is the 4 of Cups. And in some systems, this card is correlated to the moon in Cancer. In this card, the image of the person, there's an image of a person who has their arms crossed, and they're sort of just standing there like, they look kind of like, they look kind of bored maybe, or sort of like, I'm not quite sure. They have sort of like a questionable expression. And then there's 2 cups behind them, 2 cups in front of them. This card tends to come up when we are possibly like not seeing something that is right in front of us. It can sometimes be, and we can see this like reflected in this particular card, in this particular deck, whereas there's 2 cups in front of this person, but then there are 2 cups that they don't see. And actually, they're not like looking at any of the cups. They're sort of like looking off somewhere in the distance. And so that this card comes up makes me wonder if there's possibly something that that you're there's something that you're like wanting, or that you're seeking, or that you're trying to get or trying to understand, and it's like right there. It's like right there, but it's like you can't quite see it for whatever reason. And ironically, with this card, you usually can't see the thing because you're focused on trying to find the thing, but like the trying to figure it out is actually hindering the figuring it out, which is sort of ironic. This can also be an encouragement sometimes to reflect, or to go within, or to turn your attention inward towards yourself versus trying to look for the answers outside. But either way, there's something like, and I say this like, I like that this card is coming out at the beginning, because it's like, okay, there's something that you're going to see like very shortly. It's like right there. It's very close. The second card is the Emperor. And in this card, this person is wearing this like white and black checked long skirt with sneakers and a sweatshirt with kind of like an eagle looking kind of thing. It's like a very cool outfit. So the Emperor tends to, I feel like the Emperor is connected to Aquarius in this case, because the Emperor tends to connect with or be symbolized by societal structures that are in place, that we are that like structure us in some way. And I pulled this reversed. The Emperor can also be a sense of power and control. And so sometimes this is like the Emperor is an internal function, like psychologically an internal function where you feel like you have a sense of more like morals, right and wrong. This is what we should do. This is how I live my life based on these set of standards or morals or social expectations. The Emperor can also be the external social structures in place that we are bound by. And when I'm looking at this, that it's reversed, I think is very interesting. So there's like something here possibly around feeling like, okay, many ideas coming to my mind right now. Maybe, possibly, there's something that you feel like you should do that you don't really want to do. Like there's like a should to me in the reversed Emperor. Like it's like, oh, this is what's expected of me, and or what's required of me, and it's what I should do. But there's like a conflict in your fundamental value system and what you have agreed to or what you're bound by, whether that is something within yourself or maybe your family system or just society or work-wise, etc. It could also be being in a literal situation where you feel a sense of conflict around what is expected of you and like not being able to do anything about that. I want to put these all together, but I'm going to go to the third card first. So the third card is the Page of Cups, which I think is interesting because we didn't get this. We got the Queen of Cups last time, I think, as the end card. So the Page of Cups has this image of a person who's wearing this like super adorable, like, what is it? Like a like jumper, but it's like short shorts jumper, sleeveless with a clownfish on the front. And it's this like very pretty bright green, and they're holding a cup. The page in tarot tends to be a symbol often correlated to Mercury, actually, because pages are messengers. They carry messages. They're also very much about travel and the arts and creativity. And like, I think of the pages as like channels for creativity. They kind of have this like muse essence to them. They remind us of our inherent creative, expressive abilities. And the Page of Cups in particular has this encouragement to be as like weird and eccentric, and like there is something about your weirdness or like what maybe you think is weird that really is so beautiful. and that we need in the world. And so, okay, actually, so yeah, so like kind of like bringing this all together, I don't know, you let me know how this sounds. There's like something that you're trying to figure out here. And I feel a somberness in this Four of Cups. Like their outfit is like this gray, silvery, it's very moon-like. It's like this gray, silvery tone, but I feel there's like this serious, like wanting or needing of something. But there's possibly a block or a hindrance or like something that is like putting a cap maybe on that. Or maybe there are responsibilities. Maybe there is a feeling of like, who am I to do that thing? That's possibly maybe a little bit of what can come up with the Emperor reversed. And it's also like, it feels really important to like encounter where it feels like there is something that is preventing you from finding what it is that you want. And at the other end of this, like, gosh, just look at like the beautiful colors in the Page of Cups. At the end of this, there's something like very creative and beautiful and unique that is coming through for you. And so, yeah, I'm really feeling this like renew your mind kind of theme, and the new moon. There's like something around. There's something around like your needs and your desires and your wants. This like moon is also so connected to our heart and what we need and want to feel nurtured, and balancing that with the structures that you are bound to or bound for, whether those are externalized or internalized, and then finding a sense of freedom and creativity and play. All right, that is your forecast for this week. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I am sending you so much ease and love and joy and like being able to make it through the week no matter what it is that you're experiencing at this time. I'll see you next week.